17, and I can tell you I was just on that river deck. It's beautiful out there today. Gorgeous.
Very sunny.
That's Beetle. That's Jalen. I'm Greeny. Huge hour. You guys, I know, are really looking forward to this. David Fizdale is going to be here in this hour.
In the building.
The new head coach of the New York Knicks, and I can see them winning the title this year with him.
Has he done any sit-downs anywhere since he's been hired as the head coach of the Knicks?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, great.
This is the place to come.
Yes.
And we'll talk basketball with him, and we'll talk about the Western Conference Finals as well, because the matchup is set. Rockets and Chris Paul and James Harden looking to get through in Game 5 last night. Remember, Chris Paul has never gotten out of the second round, and he wanted to make sure this was the night. Late in the first half, he got hot, hit a couple of threes, and then in the final seconds of the half, made a nice pass to P.J. Tucker, who hit another, and the Rockets had an 8-point halftime lead. So a good game going here, and Donovan Mitchell was not going to go down without a fight. How good is this kid?
He can ball, Green. He has all of the skills. Look at that left hand off the glass.
22 points on 8 of 11 shooting in the third quarter alone, and the Jazz had a 3-point lead going to the fourth, and I guess we'll never know what would have happened if this play hadn't happened. He bangs knees with James Harden, and that was how Donovan Mitchell's rookie season would end. He would leave, and he would not return to the game. And in that fourth quarter, in the way that he had dominated the third, Chris Paul would dominate the fourth. CP3 had 20 points in the fourth quarter alone. He was 4 of 4 from 3. He had one of the great statistical nights in NBA history. First playoff game ever with at least 40 points, at least 10 assists, and 0 turnovers. And he was dishing like to Tucker in the corner there. Congratulations, Chris Paul. You're on to the conference final for the first time in your career. Rockets win in Game 5.
It's a little bit of an indictment on our league that, you know, he could have a little bit of a label. And if you really watch the games and watch how he played in those games, he's been unbelievable a lot.
Unbelievable. I mean, you know, he went out there and took over the game, you know, and especially for an opportunity like, you know, he's never had for, he went to go get it. You know, he put us all on his back and said, listen, you know, I got us.
And got them, he did. And so on they go to the Western Conference Finals, the matchup that everyone has been waiting for a long time to see. But I think the first question here is, and we mentioned it, Chris Paul has never gotten this far in the playoffs. His numbers have been good. His teams have lost a lot of games. In your mind, does this take some of the pressure off of him? Does it take a little bit of that proverbial monkey?
Not at all.
Not even a little?
No, this is not why he left Los Angeles to go play with James Harden. He wanted to beat the Golden State Warriors. You remember the days, Bees, when you were in Los Angeles living it up?
I remember them
and the Clippers and the Golden State Warriors were supposed to be a rivalry?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember that actually being real.
That was real.
Okay.
And to the point where the Golden State Warriors actually have taken off and won 2 championships, and Steph Curry has won 2 MVPs,
That was
and
a
they've
rivalry?
added Kevin Durant. And so for Chris Paul, they got beat by the Rockets at a point where they were up 18. I remember standing in the arena, and he was guarding Kevin Durant as their point guard. So he wanted to leave to go get help, to beat Golden State, not to make it to the conference final.
Okay, so we know via Daryl Morey that this team is specifically engineered to try and beat the Warriors. Let's just say they cannot beat the Warriors.
Okay.
Let's just say it's not even competitive. Now what?
Listen, I've been saying it forever. I think it'll be competitive, but I think that Golden State will win comparatively easily. And the reason is because they're just too good. They're just better than everyone. I've been saying this it was July 4th of 2 years ago when in the Hamptons, Kevin Durant made up his mind to go to Golden State. And I said, this is a terrible day for basketball. And the NBA is in an ascent. Everything about it is magnificent. It was a magnificent regular season, but this is a fait accompli. Golden State is too good. So I will not say the Rockets are a failure. They're going to put up the best fight anybody's going to against this team, but nobody is going to beat Golden State.
This is going to be a great series, and I'm going to tell you right off top, not only because of the star power with James Harden and the improved play of Chris Paul. Let me just tell you what Chris Paul has done. Before Chris Paul can dribble, that means getting point A to point B. Now he has a handle. He'll put you on skates. Before, he could score. Now he gets buckets. He's aggressive. He's looking to score the ball. That's a different basketball player. The Warriors have not seen this guy, and they have home court advantage. The role players perform better. So now you're going to have guys coming off the bench making shots. And you're going to have Eric Gordon playing. And Clint Capella is going to be rolling, making plays. Gerald Green is going to be making shots because when you play in front of your home fans, it boosts your role players' productivity.
But do you realize why people are hesitant, right? Everything that you just said was said about the Toronto Raptors. Every single thing you said. Their bench, this, that, they can score.
And they got swept.
And they got swept.
Look, we'll have several
To a
days to
lesser team
preview
than the
this
Warriors.
series, and we will have a good time doing it. But
That's why we're
the
hesitant.
Warriors had
That's all.
30 assists in their game last night. I don't know if Houston threw 30 passes. I mean, they play a very different style of basketball.
That's going to be a problem. But whoever felt like that about Toronto, trust me, DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry are all-stars. James Harden and Chris Paul are superstars. It's a big-time difference.
Let's see. I hope you're right. I hope more than anything in the world that you're right. Now, let's give you a big number coming out of last night. Again, CP3 saved his best for last. In that Game 5, we told you he carried the Rockets 20 points in that fourth quarter. His first ever 20-point quarter in the regular season or the playoffs.
Try to tell him.
And listen to how well he closed. He scored or assisted on 26 of Houston's final 37 points in the fourth quarter, including each of the final 18. That's a great night for Chris Paul advancing to the conference final. Let's get up and go and catch up on everything you need to see. And before we get to the other game, I can't watch this enough. This was halftime in Houston. Beetle, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Well, I don't know if it's the greatest, thing I've ever said.
The best, number one.
Impressive.
This is the most miraculous thing I've ever seen two human beings do.
I agree with the miraculous part. On skates,
watch this.
I've seen it before.
Watch what she's about to do. Look at this.
I know, but like,
This is not
again,
possible.
You guys need to get out more.
These are not computer graphics.
This is happening in the world, guys. You got to get out there.
Where is this happening in the world?
Vegas.
I walk
While
around all
everybody's
the
doing
time.
stupid things in Vegas, I'm going to shows.
That never
what I'm
happens
doing.
in my house. All right, Rockets and Warriors are going to the conference final because Golden State closed down the Pelicans last night with a win. And look, the Pelicans are another team. I think you say their season was a success, but they ran into this. Golden State in the third quarter is just ridiculous. They may be better in the third quarter than any team in history in any quarter. They outscored the Pelicans last night 36-19 in the third. They've won 15 straight home games in the playoffs. Golden State's on to the conference final.
That's what's lousy is because Gentry told his team, look out. And even knowing that it's coming, nothing you can do.
I don't want to, I'm going to make sure I re-acknowledge what you just said. They are a different basketball team in the third quarter. For some strange reason, I don't know what they're doing at halftime, but when they come
Maybe
out,
those Rajon Rondo
when they come out in the third quarter, they are an elite and an efficient basketball team.
Here's another thing that happened in this game last night. You know, Draymond and Rondo had an interesting little series together, and there was Draymond in the huddle, and no one seemed all that upset about it, Chair.
All I know is exit Rajon Rondo, enter Chris Paul. It's going to be the exact same thing in the Western Conference Finals. That's the role those two players play on those teams in order to make them go.
But Paul can make a shot if you need him to.
Correct.
So that's a big difference there.
Yes.
Listen, I'm rooting for you to be right and me to be wrong. Either way, Warriors, Rockets is a thing. It starts Monday. Here's the thing. That's the big maple. James Paxton, Gad, sing it.
That's all I got.
Because last night, he became the first ever Canadian pitcher.
Oh, man,
Native land.
I regret inviting that. He became the first ever Canadian-born pitcher to throw a no-hitter in Canada. He got that great play in the seventh to keep it alive and then threw the third no-hitter in the major leagues this year. And another interesting little statistic, the 3 no-hitters in the majors this year have been thrown in 3 different countries. One in Mexico, one in the U.S., and then last night there.
Take that, NBA.
In Canada.
Who's international now?
Baseball is an international game.
Baseball and basketball are. Football got to catch up.
Yeah, baseball has been huge across Asia for a very long time, and increasingly so in other places in the Seattle Times. Celebrating with an interesting little, how about that? Amazing. A?
Get it? Because Canadians say A at the end of sentences. Get it?
Yeah, we've shown it 3 times now.
Yeah,
I don't think it's that funny.
I feel like I've seen this before.
Let's just move on. This guy's good. How about Giancarlo Stanton? Beetle, he's getting going. He mashed last night.
But it's warm, Greeny.
2 solo home runs. Yankees take game 1 in this series from the Red Sox. They've played, or in their last 17 games, they've won 16. They're 16-1. It's the best stretch they've had since 1953.
That ain't bad.
It ain't bad.
Nope.
Impressive.
Yankees are getting going. They were 7.5 games behind the Red Sox, and in 18 days they made up all of that.
Impressive.
All of it.
They're performing up to expectations. Nobody's surprised. When you add Carlos Stanton to go with Judge and now their pitching is playing better, this is going to be a legitimate thing all season.
You'll see them tonight on ESPN, game 2 of this series. All right, avert your eyes. What's that commercial? You want to get away? Dylan Bundy wanted to get away.
Just
all right,
happens to be.
Dylan.
He
right there,
starting the
somewhere.
game last night. for the Orioles.
Island.
He gave up a home run without recording an out. Then he gave up another home run right there without recording an out. So
Who
that's
knew?
2 and no outs. And now hold on a second. We're not done.
How is this happening?
That's 3 home runs without recording an out. There's no way in the world it could happen again because it never had before.
No, this is awful. I would have pretended to sprain my ankle after the second one.
He allowed 4 home runs without recording an out. The first player in baseball history to do it.
Do you quit baseball after this game?
His ERA went from 3.76 to 5.31 in that inning.
I got some sneaky big news. He's going to be going to AAA soon.
That's not nice.
All right.
Let him work it
hold
out.
on, guys. You're going to love this. Okay? Mets and Reds last night. They're doing an in-game interview with the Hall of Famer Johnny Bench.
Johnny Bench.
And all of a sudden he broke into some play-by-play. Listen to this.
We still love the game. It's still special. Ground ball back to Vargas. What a play! First base hits out. And then we go back to the interview. And how quickly we do that sort of thing. You know, it's special. I feel bad. You know, the Reds are just miserable this year. But the transfer was the key.
Listen.
Fly ball, right center field. Back goes Bruce. It's off the wall. Can this... Come on, we're going to throw him out at the plate. Oh, no! Wait a minute. Give me a glove. Oh, my God. That would have been an out at home.
That's great. Just like something clicks.
The legend.
Gotta do it.
Listen, that guy... When the All-Star game was in Cincinnati a few years ago, he came and did a Mike and Mike with us in person, and I got to spend a few minutes with him. And one of the idols of my youth, and he is so funny. People forget this guy has had a show business career, not quite the equal of his baseball career, obviously, because he's the greatest catcher of all time. That was just fun to hear him break.
Yeah, and would have been out at home. He
last
told you.
night. All right, this is my favorite athlete of all time right this second. It's a story that tells itself. Go.